It is my favorite time of the week, ladies and gentlemen. It is Thursday, 6 p.m. You know, I was just telling the guys before we came on, it's my favorite time of the week. Not today, not only because of what we do, but today also because I finally have a chance to sit down. Yes, indeed. Yes. We want to welcome everyone. Come on in, get yourselves situated. Welcome to That's My Story, ladies and gentlemen. This is simply the hottest internet sensation going right now. We thank you guys so much. We thank you guys so much for being the oil in our engine, the fuel in our tank, and keep us inspired and motivated to keep coming to you every week with new material, new guests. And it's definitely been a wonderful journey. So as you guys come in, give us a comment, give us some likes, some hearts, Facebook followers as well as YouTube followers. Leave us a comment. Let us know where you're calling in from, where you're chiming in from. We'd be glad to come back and greet you personally once we are done here today. All right. Joining me as always are my illustrious co-hosts. We have representing the Ikettes as well as the Honeycomb. Also, she is the wife of founding member of Earth, Wind, and Fire, also bass player Verdine White. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Miss Shelly Clark White. Yeah. Shelly.
All right.
Also joining me, representing those kings of Carolina beach music, the chairman of the board. He's also in the North Carolina Music Hall of Fame. Talented musician, producer, arranger, as well as vocalist. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Mr. Ken Knox.
Ken Knox.
Thank you. Oh, man. Hey, Shelly, how are you?
Doing good over here. Couldn't sleep last night because I'm excited.
excited.
Yeah, I know all about it. So let me start off by saying we're going to wish our fellow host.
Yes.
His birthday is tomorrow, but we're going to wish him a happy birthday tonight.
Thank you.
Very Midas Artisan, who is
love is love. Early love is the best.
Yeah.
Yay. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
He's a fine keyboardist, arranger, and he happens to be our musical director with chairman of the board.
Another board.
Thank y'all so much. Thank y'all so much. Yes, indeed. And I see my mom on. Hey, mom. Hey, to all of you guys, my sister, and all those back at home. Yes, indeed.
I see Presley.
And Tazzy.
Yeah, Miss Linda Lane. Just take a moment. Oh, Miss Tazzy Hawthorne. We want to just take a moment to acknowledge you guys, because you guys take time out of your week every week to sit here and have a chat with us, and that's special.
Yes.
That's you guys are pretty much like extended family, you know, and that's my story was birthed out of quarantine. Thank you, Ma. I love you too. Was birthed out of quarantine, but it's been you guys have kept us going, and we're loving exactly what we're doing here for you guys, you know. So thank y'all so much, nationally and internationally. So we're not going to prolong the time. I guess tonight, you know, he asked us if we could keep it 2 hours, so we're going to do the best we can to honor his wishes. So without any further ado, we're going to get right into it. But real quick, I have to do a toast to episode 24 with you guys.
All right.
We almost on episode 25. It's 52 weeks in a year.
That's right.
You know?
Man.
Salute.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That water tastes better in That's My Story glass for some reason. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Without any further ado, let's go get right into it. Please help me welcome jazz pianist, jazz composer. Also, he's a radio personality. He's recorded over 80 albums. Yes, I said 80 albums. Wow. 7 gold records. He's a 3-time Grammy Award winner. 60 years in this music and entertainment industry, giving you hits such as The In Crowd, Hang On Sloopy, Wade in the Water. He's carried and passed the torch in more than one way. He's received numerous awards and lifetime achievements and has even gotten a celebrity shout out from President Obama himself. Ladies and gentlemen, make some noise with us at home while we make some noise on the screen for Mr. Ramsey Lewis.
Ramsey! Yay! Yay!
Thank you very much.
Yes,
yeah, be with you.
Yes, sir. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to have you on. Before we came on, I was just, informing you that I was a keyboard/piano player as well. So I'm super excited about having a chance to chat with you, as I'm sure the rest of our audience is as well.
Great.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it.
Yes, sir. Well, we always like to start our show off because we are still under this pandemic with the whole COVID-19 situation. So our popular question at the beginning of our program, we just like to ask our guests, how have you been spending your time keeping busy since, those that do music and entertainment, we have had to kind of scale back due to this pandemic?
Well, I have a show that I do from my living room. Well, it's a story. I'll tell you, it's a short story. It's a long story, but I'll make it short.
Sure.
Okay.
I like to practice the piano. So I was in my living room practicing the piano. Then there was a song that I was trying to remember that I used to play years ago. It's a Russ Freeman song, and it was on a Chet Baker Strings album. And I was trying to work with it. It finally came to me, and it's called "The Wind" by Russ Freeman.
Okay.
And I played it all the way through. And when I got through, my wife was standing about 5 or 6 feet from me, and she had taped it on her phone. She said, "That's so beautiful. I had to come and tape it."
Oh,
said, what is it? So I told her, and then she sent it to my manager, Brett Steele, and Brett said, "Now you can do a show from your living room if we really put this thing together right."
That's right.
So I said, "Well, if I don't have to get on a plane and if I don't have to go to O'Hare, et cetera, et cetera." Yeah. So here we are, and I'm enjoying doing the show every Saturday at 1 o'clock. At 1 o'clock Chicago time.
Right. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Right.
Awesome.
Right.
Now, Mr. Lewis, where are you from originally?
Chicago born, Chicago bred, and I'm still living in Chicago.
Okay, it's still in Chicago.
I traveling so much, there was a period where I thought I might want to live in LA. There was a period where I thought I might want to live in New York, maybe London, maybe Paris. But when it came right down to it, Chicago offered me and my family everything. I wanted to be near my family too, so that kind of took care of it. And Chicago is a great city.
And where did you go to school also in Chicago?
I went to Edward Jenner Grammar School. I went to Wells High School.
Okay. Yes, we pull it. That's you in the bottom left corner. Is that correct?
There I am. They made me the assistant conductor.
Oh,
right.
Right.
That's in high school.
That's in high school.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. And what was your upbringing like? Is like your parents and siblings?
My parents?
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
My parents. My dad was from Georgia, outside of Atlanta, out in the country, and my mother's from Mississippi, outside Jackson, out in the country. Mm-hmm. And they both came to Chicago separately, but they met in church.
Oh, wow.
Met in church.
Yeah, and they decided to get married. And as they say in the movies, the rest is history.
History.
I have two sisters. My older sister passed away, Lucille. She was our pastor of our church. Oh, wow. And I have a younger sister, Gloria, who plays piano also.
Okay, well that leads me to my next point I wanted to get to. So I understand that your sister also played piano as well, correct? And but you were around 4 years old when you started?
Oh boy, 4 years. Whoa, where'd you get that picture? Well, I was 4 years old, and I was in the living room floor shooting marbles or something. And I heard my parents say, "Lucille, that's my older sister, we want you to start taking piano lessons." Well, I had learned early on that if I kind of did what Lucille got to do, it was some nice things that would happen.
Okay.
So I didn't know piano lessons. All I heard them say, "Lucille, do this." And I said, "Well, I want to do it too. I want to do it too." So they started, both of us, taking piano lessons.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, Lucille dropped out. Of course, she went on to be the pastor of our church. But Ernestine Bruce, who was also one of the musicians in our church, she said, Little Ramsey's got talent. I think he should go downtown and take lessons from the school downtown. And I met Dorothy Mendelson. And Dorothy Mendelson, she was the one who helped me turn the corner.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I just wanted to revisit something while we were still kind of talking about your family. Now, was your father the one that kind of made sure that you did your piano lessons?
Yeah, how'd you know?
we do some great research. We got a great research team.
When he would come home from work,
I hear.
He would call it, Pauline, did Sonny practice today?
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Oh my God. Yeah. And if my mama said, no, Lewis, he didn't practice yet today. Oh my goodness. Oh. Especially if I'm outside playing baseball and I hadn't practiced yet.
Yeah. So what would happen? What would happen?
Dad would come out and he would have his belt off, and the other guys on the field would say, "Here come your daddy."
Oh, so he comes to the field. So your father, if you didn't practice your piano for the day, your father would come to the field to see it.
Yeah, he didn't mind me playing baseball or whatever. Practice the piano, and it was only a half hour. But when you're young, a half hour is like,
all day.
Yeah.
So I'm so glad that he made me practice.
And also here, your dad was the choir director at church.
Yeah. He was. They had a senior choir who sung more different kinds of songs. But Dad was the choir director of the gospel choir. And at some point, he said, "Sonny, you're gonna start playing for the choir."
That's right.
There's no way I'm gonna say no. I'm not.
Right. Yes.
But it was the gospel playing. This is interesting because it was the gospel playing that people hear in my piano playing. Some people think it's R&B. Some people think it's this, that, and the other. But actually, I think what gave me that extra different sound was the combination of playing European classical music, Bach, Beethoven, etc., Chopin, and gospel music.
Yes.
I didn't know nothing about playing. I knew about Charlie Parker and Thelonious Monk and Art Tatum. I knew about them. But gospel music and classical music was my foundation till later on when I really got into the jazz guys.
Yes, sir. And I got to say, so far your story is very similar to mine as far as my upbringing with playing music and whatnot.
Oh,
very similar. Yes, sir.
Right.
First of all, Mr. Lewis, Mr. Ramsey Lewis.
Yes.
I am one hell of a fan of yours.
Thank you.
I remember having my mother buy the In Crowd for me. I'm 45.
Yeah.
And that was a song around the neighborhood. I'm in with the In Crowd. I mean the instrumental version. So listen, you mentioned that you at some point your church pianist felt that she had taught you everything that she could and suggested you move on to real classical lessons.
Wait, I'm sorry, I missed the question.
All right. So apparently at some point your church pianist that you spoke of, she had taught you everything that she could and suggested that you move on to real classical lessons.
Well, I was studying classical music and playing for our church, and one of the church musicians, Wallace Burton, said, "We want you to play with our band." And my mother said, "Well, he's playing classical music, and I don't know if it's playing jazz is going to mess up his technique." Now they didn't start to think that I'm already playing gospel music, but right. But so they went down and talked to Dorothy Mendelson, and I still call her Miss Mendelson. And she said to them, "Listen, at this time in history, there's no room for Black people in classical music. There wasn't even one in classical music. So if he has an opportunity to further himself and some jazz group wants him, give him a chance. Give him a chance." So that's how I got involved with the Clefs.
Wow.
Oh, okay.
I had a classical teacher as well. And she was very honest and said, "You know what? There's not going to be a lot of opportunities for a female Black opera singer. So I suggest you go into other areas. So thank God we had two very honest teachers.
Very similar.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Indeed. Thank
Right.
God.
Yeah.
Right. We wanted to talk a little about the Clefs. That was sort of like the first group. Wasn't that band leader Wallace Burton?
Yeah,
And,
Wallace did. Well, he was the one who said, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, and he taught you a lot about jazz and blues, or how did that work?
Well, what happened, he was at one of the church musicians, and he heard me play gospel music and classical music, so he thought I could play jazz. So without even asking me, he says, "You want to play with my group?" And I said, "Yeah, I'd love to play with your group." I knew you had a 7-piece jazz group. He said, "Well, show up at I think it was Southwestern Temple, where they had a dance 7 to 10. So my parents said, "Okay, Wallace, he can come, but you got to pick him up and bring him home." So he did. But when we got there, the piano was there, and the 6 other musicians were on stage. And Wallace said, 2 or 3 songs in, he said, "Okay, now we're gonna have a piano feature. Ramsey, what you gonna play?"
Oh wow!
I didn't know any jazz tunes, so he said, "Well, let's play the blues." And I didn't know any blues at that point. So he tried to call something simple as one of the standards, and I said, I just shrugged my shoulders. So he said, "Well, go sit over there and do some homework." And the band went on to finish the dance.
Okay.
I figured that was the end of that. It wasn't no big deal to me. So he's on the way home, though. Wallace said, "If you want to learn this music, come over to my house, and I'll show you a few things."
Yeah.
That's how it happened. He showed me the blues changes, the rhythm changes, and he said, in those days, there was a place called Hudson Ross where you could take a LP. Y'all too young to know about LP. You could take an LP.
Eight
I know about the LP.
Yeah, we know about them.
You could take an LP in a booth. So he says, take in Bud Powell, take in George Shearing, take in Earl Garner, and listen how they play some of the songs we play.
Okay.
And that's what opened my eyes. And like, oh wow, same song, totally different interpretation. And they were great.
Right. So eventually, a lot of these guys were older, right? So few of them got drafted. Few of them got drafted into the Korean War, I guess, and so that left you with LD and Red. So what happened then?
Well, yeah, the war broke up the group, except for LD and Red. But then Red got drafted for a year, so we got another drummer, and then Red got out, and Red came back with the group, and we still call ourselves the Clefs. But after a while, we said we can't call ourselves the Clefs because that was the other group.
Right.
Oh, okay.
So we went round and round and round and round, and finally, Daddy O'Daly, who was the disc jockey in Chicago, very helpful to us. He said, "So what are you guys up to?" He says, "What's the name of the group?" And we said, "We don't have a name at the moment." So we looked at calling ourselves the Birds, the this, the that, the do. So Daddy O'Daly said, "It's a piano group. Piano takes most of the solos. Just call it the Ramsey Lewis Trio." So we did.
Makes sense.
And we go, there's a guy. We did.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
So Ramsey, what happened in DC in the cafe, and you were thinking of songs to record, and then the waitress Lady Gray came over. She came over to you. What happened?
How you know all this stuff?
Hey.
I'm psychic. I'm psychic.
Well, we by this time we had made several albums, 10, 15, not 15, 10, 11 albums, and we were about to make an album, and we found out that if you put what we call a fun song, Something You Got had been on the album before that. That's one of our fun songs, and we couldn't come up with a name of a so-called fun song. So Nettie Gray came over to the coffee. We were sitting in the coffee shop. "What are y'all doing?" She knew us. And we told her we're trying to find a song that's easy, that's fun, that people may or may not recognize, but at least it'll be a fun song. He says, "Have y'all heard Dobie Gray's in the In Crowd?" LD and Red had heard it.
Yeah.
So she said, "It's on the jukebox. Y'all want to hear it?" So she went to jukebox at the coffee shop. Get that? So she went over to the jukebox and she played I'm In With the In Crowd. And I said, well, we got the meat of the album. That'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
And so we put it on the album, put the album out, and we put out, I don't know what the first single was, or whatever it was. Mm-hmm. The album started selling. We're like, why is the album selling so much? And people are saying they're coming in asking for the album with the In Crowd.
Mm. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So that was with Phil and Leonard at Chess Records?
Yeah, Phil and Leonard Chess.
And so you had the audition and they had that guy Sonny come in and listen to you guys, right?
Well, you all done some homework.
Oh man.
Who was Sonny?
Sonny, well, Phil and Leonard, first of all, they own a stationery shop out on the south side. But they wanted to get into music. And so they had a piano in the back of the stationery shop. And they asked us to come out. And we played for them. And they looked at each other. And they didn't know. They just looked at each other. Because they had made their money somewhere else. I don't know if they really knew music. But although they didn't know a lot about blues. Anyway, they didn't know a lot about jazz. So they called Sonny in. They called Sonny from the shipping department. Sonny, come in here. And Sonny came in. And they play something again, play something else. So we played another song, and they looked at Sonny and said, "What you think, Sonny?" And Sonny said, "Yeah, they're pretty good." And Sonny walked on out the room.
Good, huh?
Wow. Wow.
So they signed us up.
What you say? And the rest was so.
That was
Ramsey. We're trying to move quick because we want to try to get it all in. This group. Eventually, you guys stayed together for a while with Red Hope and LD, but they started getting envious of you with your name so in the front there. So what happened with that group? Well,
we were splitting the money 3 ways, except I got extra $50 a week to go out and do interviews and whatever. But the group got so big, Huntley Brinkley spoke about In Crowd being on the top 10 and blah, blah, with the Beatles and blah, blah, the first jazz record. And so the wives, one of the wives, two of them, they got jealous. And why is his name? Why is his name? Now we split the money and I didn't name the group. That was the beginning. That was the beginning of dissension in the first group. And one thing led to another. And over a period of about a year, things got worse and worse. So finally we decided to go our separate ways.
Right.
That happened.
Well,
but they put on Young Holt Unlimited and they did really well too.
Well, that caused you to have to seek talent in other places. But right there at Chess Records, you had your eye on a young drummer. And what was his name?
Well, Chess, like Columbia and Capitol, they had what they call I forgot the real name, studio musicians. And so Chess had their own drummer, bass player, and a few other musicians. And they had this drummer, quiet spoken, but every time I would come to the studio, he said, "Hey, Ramsey." And really, he would talk like that. "Hey, Ramsey." I said, "Hey, what's up, Reese? So how you doing?" "I'm doing good." So what's the manager doing? What's a manager supposed to do? Mm-hmm. And then the next time I see him, he said, "Hey, Ramsey, how you doing?" "I'm doing." "So what's a booking agent supposed to do?" He always had these questions. Mm-hmm. And then when the group broke up, I needed a drummer, and I said, "I'd love for you to come play with the group." And Maurice White said, "I'd love to come play with you." And so there.
Oh, nice. Nice.
There it is.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
there we are with our tuxedo ties on.
Sharp
ties, all suited and booted. Well, I had some things I wanted to ask you about, but my memory is a little foggy. So I was wondering if anybody is around that could help me remember what, some of these stories. Okay.
Hey, Verdine. What's up?
Yeah.
Verdine's on Sun Goddess. Verdine's on
Yeah,
some,
yeah.
That's right. That's right. But first, Verdine knows that his brother was kind of shy and always hiding behind those cymbals. So, honey, I'll let you take it.
You know, when he got with Ramsey, right? He used to have the cymbals
Yeah.
up over, right? And you couldn't see it. So Ramsey would tell him to bring the cymbals down, you know? And, you know, Reese got into it, you know what I mean? And eventually, of course, he took over the drums as we knew, you know? And but he was shy, you know, but even soft-spoken through his whole life. Reese always very soft-spoken, you know, person. And, you know, like we said, you want to, like, you know, what's publishing? You know what I mean? What's this? You know, and or just like, and you know, and Reese was, and he was always working on music, and of course, you know, we would go to the concerts and see the trio with Ravinia, and we would get all the latest records, the albums, Mother's Nature's Son, and remember that record, which was a great record of all the Beatles covers. You know what I mean? We weren't the first one to do Beatles records. Ramsey was actually the first one.
Nice.
Was conducted by and arranged by the great Charles Stepney and the late Charles Stepney, which actually really Ramsey, Reese, and Step was like a trio themselves in terms of, you know, music and artistry, and I grew up watching that and going to the concerts and all that stuff. You know, I was just tagging along. You know.
Man, you taking me back some nice memories, man. Verdine.
Yeah.
And, well, we also wanted to know what was that little instrument he came to rehearsal with one time, Ramsey.
Yeah, he came in with this little instrument and he was messing around with it. And so I said, man, we should use that in the show. You know, maybe doing your drum solo if you want. And so he finally took him a couple of concerts to do it, because I would say, man, you didn't use it. Come on. So finally, during one of the drum solos, he pulled it out, and people really liked it. But you couldn't see what it was because he was behind the cymbals. So it took me a little while longer to say, Reese, you know how singers walk up to the mic and so in front of the stage. You need to get up from the drums, pick up the kalimba, and go up to the front of the stage and play that kalimba into the microphone. Nice. And finally, he did that, and the people went crazy. I mean, they went bananas. So once they did that, he felt more comfortable doing it, and it was one of the high points of our show.
Awesome.
Wow.
That's great. Great story.
Verdine told me a lot of stories about all of that, and also moving forward into the next hit that you all had was Hang On Sloopy. And
we
want you to talk a little bit about that.
Well, I didn't have any idea that I was going to do Hang On Sloopy. I was in the car with a couple other friends, Bob Holmes and his wife at Winter Home, and we were on our way to Atlantic City to play some jobs. And she turned the radio on, and the McCoys came on with Hang On Sloopy. And she said, Ramsey, you ought to do that. I said, you know, give me a break. You know, Hang On Sloopy. You know, give me a break. No, you should do. So long story short, we got into one of the rehearsals, and we you know, it's not a difficult song. We worked out how we wanted to do it. And lo and behold, when we tried it with the audience, not only did the audience start clapping their hands, a lot of them stood up and started singing.
Awesome.
Oh, wow. Nice.
So I was glad that I had
Reese told when he first got with the trio, he was scared to death because one of the concerts that you all did, it was 100,000 people out there. And Reese panicked.
Yeah. Well, you know, back in the day, we had those jazz festivals. And we weren't the only one on the bill, but they were these big stadiums and you know, and so sure, there were anywhere from 50, 60, 70, 80, 100,000 people. Right. And we went on. But our trio with Maurice White, I ain't gonna tell you what I used to call him because I had a nickname for him that I said, well, was it Rooney?
Call him
Rooney. Right.
Yeah, I used to call him Rudy. We would tear it up. We tear it up. And
yes, sir. So, Mr. Lewis, oftentimes music affords us opportunities to travel the world.
yes.
When Maurice was playing with you guys, what are some of the countries you had the opportunity to play in?
Oh my goodness. London, Paris, New York. Well, New York's the United States. All over the world. I mean, I can't, I don't want to leave out any cities, but we played.
Can we throw Japan in there?
Oh yeah, we played Japan. we played Japan several times.
Yes.
We had a good. We were very popular in Japan.
Okay.
Oh, look at that!
Yes.
Oh, there's Maurice. There's Maurice.
Yes.
Yeah, we were backstage.
Yeah, and I think that the conductor's name is Seiji Awuza. Am I saying that?
Seiji Ozawa.
Ozawa. I'm sorry, Ozawa. Okay.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Pardon me, it's Ozawa.
Seiji.
Right.
Yes, and obviously the hits kept coming with you guys. You had another hit, Wade in the Water, which was a gospel classic. It became your third hit. What was your inspiration behind recording that particular record?
Well, at the time, we needed another song. Richard Evans had heard me play that during another solo. I never really played the whole song through.
Okay.
But I knew it from it playing in church. Wade, people, a lot of people don't know where that Wade in the Water came from, except there's been a movie out now. Maybe y'all do know where it comes from. So anyway, we needed this next song. And Richard Evans said, play that church song, Wade in the Water. And so we put a beat to it, and it became another very good seller for us.
Yeah, and a lot of people may know it as the original version of it as a spiritual. Is that correct?
Definitely a spiritual, and it was from one person who made it away from the slaves by actually going down the river.
Going to the river, that's right.
Got the river and got to another body of water. Until they got on the other side, and they said she got to the north, and they welcomed her, and she said, "No, I'm going back." She went back and told some of the other slaves, "Go down this way, go down that way, and then when you get to the water, stay in the water." Wade in the water.
Wade in the water. That's awesome.
Great story there.
Yeah.
Man, I tell you.
Yeah. Yo, that's awesome. You touched the nerve with that one. And that little lesson, we try to educate as well as celebrate.
That's right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But
I was going to chime in.
Go ahead, V.
A lot of the audience didn't know that Maurice played drums, actually. They didn't really know. They didn't know that he was actually a drummer first. You know what I mean? So, and all the records that we did, of course, Maurice and I played on those records together, And but a lot of people didn't know he was a drummer first. Yeah. People in the industry knew, but not the
right.
And a few fun facts about that song you recorded, "Wade in the Water." It was #2 on Billboard Top Soul charts. It was released on Cadet Records, and it was an album and a single by the same title.
Hey, I read in the interview once that as a kid you will pass by Highland Park and dream of someday playing at the Ravinia Festival. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Wait, say that again about the.
So as a kid, let me slow down. I have a habit of speaking fast. As a kid, you would pass by Highland Park. And dream of someday playing at the Ravinia Festival. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, we would hear about the Ravinia Festival, and not so much that I would pass by it because it was way north. It was way north of Chicago.
Okay.
They on television, on the news or on entertainment news, they would have Ravinia, and Ravinia had all the big classical musicians, all the big jazz musicians,
right,
and all the big pop and all. I mean, it was just over 3,000 people in the seats. But then they could see 16,000 people on the lawn. And I would say, geez, one of these days, I really would like to play there.
Nice.
Yeah. I mean, it was just a dream. But it came true that one day I got the call. It said, how would you like to open for? I opened for somebody. I forgot who it was. But after that, I became a headliner. And then I ended up playing Ravinia every year. Oh goodness, for 20, 30 years.
You also became the artistic director, correct?
Oh,
of jazz.
yeah, yeah. We got.
Yeah, we got
know all this.
Yeah, and you also organized the Ravinia mentor program.
Yeah, the artistic director for jazz. So I had a big hand in helping, suggesting who the jazz artists might be for next year. Also, we thought that jazz in some of the public schools weren't able to have jazz teachers expose the kids to jazz.
Right.
So we thought at Ravinia we would have a program where public school kids could come up and we hired some jazz teachers to be there and give them a couple hours of jazz history and jazz technique and what it's all about. Very gratifying to see the kids develop.
That's great. I want to mention right quick that you also recorded an album called Solango on Columbia with two legendary producers, one being Verdine's brother, Maurice White, and Charles Stepney.
Charles Stepney was a great producer. He produced a lot of my music, and there he is with me, and of course a lot of Earth, Wind and Fire music. Verdine knows him well.
He was, you know how they talk about mentors. You know, I mean, from where I'm coming from, those are the best mentors I could ever have. You know, Maurice, Ramsey, Stepney. We called him Step. You know what I mean? With all the music and taught us music and recording. It was the best place for a young person to develop and create and things like that. And whenever I had to, and Reese always used to thank Ramsey about taking him across the whole world and traveling, which actually Maurice picked up from Rams. You know what I mean? Traveling, taking a group across the world, all of Europe, all the places that we normally would never get an opportunity to do, you know? And, but it was just really a great experience. And I think Sun Goddess was before Solango.
Right.
Right. Okay. You want to go back a little bit right quick, Rams, on that one?
Okay. Well, you know, Sun Goddess?
There was one before that we thought was going to be a smash, remember? Remember Hot Dog It?
Oh,
remember we thought that was going to be a smash, remember?
Well, you know what happened? Maurice, y'all had played Madison Square Garden, and he called me. I was in Washington, D.C., and Reese called me and said, I got a song for you. I said, oh, really? He said, yeah, it's going to be bigger than the in crowd. I said, Reese, come on, man, come on. So he said, what are you doing? I said, well, I'm about to go back to Chicago and go back in the studio. He said, well, some of us can meet you there if you want. So Verdine and Philip Bailey and Ralph and I think Maurice met me at Paul Serrano's studio.
Right. Reese called me in the hotel room and said, we got to go to Chicago. And I'm thinking we're going to visit Mom and Dad. He said, no, we got to record with Rams.
Yeah.
And bring a bass.
So we got back to the studio and we spent 3 days on this one song. And because Stephanie wanted it just right. And so we finished it. Was it Reese? Reese was with the group.
Right.
Yeah.
He's with us. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But while they're packing up, Reese said, oh, there's this other tune. This is just a little tune because it doesn't have a bridge or anything. It's a 16-bar melody.
Right.
And so that means Donald Myrick could take a solo, and then we go back and play the melody again. And then Ramsey, you play a solo, play the melody, and Ramsey, you play it on out. And so we thought that was just an album tune.
Right.
Because we got the hit song. The hit song is Hot Dog It.
That's right. It was so good, we were humming the tune, Hot Dog It, on the way out of the studio, right? So
yeah.
Big, right?
So the album, the record company put Hot Dog It out. Okay. And the radio played it for about, I don't know, 2-3 weeks, but nothing was happening. But the album was running out the stores. People were coming into the record shops buying the album like hotcakes. And so they said, well, why are people, they call these record stores, and they said they're coming in asking for the album that has Sun Goddess in it. And so finally, we edited it down because Sun Guys is about 7 minutes, and that's
7 minutes.
Yeah, you remember?
And remember Ramsey, people would say we want that tune way old.
Right.
That tune way old, right? Remember?
Right.
Oh.
Right.
And Sun Goddess was bigger than the In Crowd, you know?
Yeah.
Huge. And then Ramsey, remember you ended up going on tour with us? That was a fabulous tour, you know?
That was so much fun. I mean, when you all called me and said, hey, you want to go? We're going on tour. We're going to play X number of dates. You want to go play with us? That was a thrill. It was really a thrill.
And you know, we took both bands on the plane, the Earth, Wind & Fire plane, had the logo on there, right?
Now we're really big time.
We were rocking and rolling. And we were in Philadelphia, and the Pope had come to the United States.
Wow.
And the only plane they let in the airport was Earth, Wind & Fire and the Pope.
Nice.
That's all you need. Mr. Lewis, how we doing on time? We okay?
We okay.
All right, we okay. You enjoy yourself?
Ramsey, call me Ramsey.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll just try to show respect. But now that you give me permission, I shall. So Ramsey, as I brought you on earlier, I mentioned, you know, your the numerous Grammys and gold records and the 80 albums. But something that our folks at home may not know was that you had the opportunity to carry the Olympic torch in the Winter Olympics in 2002.
Right.
Tell us a little bit about that experience.
Well, that year they ran the torch from across the country, from New York to LA, and so there was a part in the Midwest. They had to come through Chicago, and they were trying to figure out who should carry the torch through a certain part of Chicago. And I got the call, and they invited me to carry the Olympic torch, and that was a big thrill for me.
Yeah, it was also the Ravinia segment of the journey to Salt Lake City too, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Well, you all done your homework.
Which is the same festival that you're the artistic director of.
Correct.
Absolutely. And I just want to mention also the gospel album that your son did. We spoke about it briefly a little bit yesterday.
That's Frank.
Sound check. Frank,
Well, gospel music has always been a part of me, as you know. And of course, my kids are brought up in gospel music. So when the opportunity came to do the album, Frayne had already gotten experience producing people. So I said, Frayne, why don't you come on and produce this gospel album?
Nice.
He did. And it's one of the greatest albums I've done. I couldn't call it greatest because of my album, but I enjoyed doing it.
Absolutely. And for the folks at home, that album was titled With One Voice, correct?
Yes.
And I had a hit single on there, Pass Me Not. And it also won a Stellar Award for Best Gospel Album.
Yeah.
Right. Y'all have done your homework.
Yeah. And it certainly seems like yes, absolutely. And it certainly seems like gospel music serves as a foundation for a lot of musicians.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Because back in the day, there were a lot of places that jazz musicians couldn't play. And, but many of us came up playing in church before we had opportunities to go out and play jazz.
Talk about it.
That was like the what's the word, the ground that we all started in. It was good. It was good because learning how to connect with people. Yeah, because church people, if the music ain't right,
they gonna let you know.
they just sit there and look at you.
There you go.
But if the music's right, they start moving and clapping their hands. Some of them start standing up.
Yeah, that's very true. They're gonna give you
playing in black churches. It's a good
experience.
Yeah, good experience to see if you got what you think you got.
Yes, because like you said, if it's not right, they definitely gonna let you know. They may not be musicians themselves, but they're gonna give you that look.
That's right.
So, Ramsey, I understand that in 2006 you had a syndicated show called Legends of Jazz, and it's broadcast across the country. And you also had a well-received 13 episodes of Legends of Jazz TV series. and that was broadcast on PBS nationwide. How did you make the leap from syndicated radio show to a live nationwide TV show?
Interesting.
Okay.
You know, doors just have always opened for me, because I didn't know how I was going to get on radio. I never desired. The piano was wonderful, but I was on somebody's radio show doing an interview, and they said you should have your own radio show. So I ended up with a radio show, and then somebody
It's 6 o'clock.
Somebody said you should do this show on television, which I did. And they said, well, have you thought of having your own TV show? And I said, I'd love to have it. And so inviting jazz musicians and other musicians from other genres, but other musicians who could really do their music really well, became something that I really enjoyed doing.
Awesome. You had artists like Tony Bennett, Chick Corea, Dave Brubeck.
You all taking me back. I'm really having fun doing this.
Yeah, it's just
that's great, because we're at 4 o'clock, so we're going to keep going until you tell us.
Yeah.
Okay.
You got about 30 more minutes, 30 minutes or so?
Maybe 27.
27. We can work 27.
With that. Okay, we got it.
Okay.
I want to bring Verdine White in on this next question. They received, you remember this? They received their honorary doctorate at Columbia College. Honey, you can take that, right?
Yeah, we would. That was a great moment for us. Rams came down, hung out with us. That was our honorary doctorate, and actually, that was at the Chicago, the Columbia College. It was a great afternoon. It was overwhelming, right, babe? Right? And,
and wasn't that Ralph's aunt that helped pull that together?
Aunt March.
Awesome.
On March.
That was really great, and I think we went to get pizza afterwards. I think, right? So,
yeah.
The great Chicago pizza. So it was a wonderful Sunday afternoon, and it was fantastic.
Well, Earth, Wind and Fire was being honored, and I loved everybody in the group, so I had to show up. And
you did.
Just to see what's up. It was great.
Awesome.
To see what's up.
And you know what was beautiful for me watching. Reese got his big start with Ramsey. Ramsey gave Reese his big break, but they always stayed close through all of Reese's musical journey.
Beautiful.
When we first came out to Los Angeles, Ramsey would call to check on Reese. He said, "Man, Rams called me, check on me." And I think this is the first time in history that somebody that was with the group of his boss came back and gave him the biggest record of his career. I think that's in the history books.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's awesome. That's
great.
beautiful.
The road, being on the road was fantastic, with Ramsey, and you all are naming like gospel albums, which is great that Ramsey has done. But he did some other great records too. The Piano Player, the movie album, which we have here.
We have that. We have that. That's right. That's right.
And what you did with the orchestra that Richard Evans had conducted, and it was at the orchestra hall Christmas night. That you all did.
Wow. Yeah. Indeed.
Because we were there. Mom and Dad, we were all there.
Right.
And so there's an array of different genres that Ramsey has done that we were happy to be part of, and some of it, things like that.
Awesome.
And even after that, Ramsey, you kept your relationship going. You had a successful tour with Earth, Wind and Fire's Philip Bailey, and that was great. And not to mention, you all performed. There he is. Not to mention, you all performed together at the Apollo. Do you remember that, Verdine?
Oh yeah, we did the Apollo. Right. Our friend Ron
Right.
Weisner produced that. Ronnie produced that, and you have to rub the thing, right? What is that thing you have to rub for good luck?
The log.
And we took great pictures with Ramsey around the piano, and but great memories. Those are fantastic memories, and just to go through Ramsey's journey, which is really our journey.
Indeed.
Our family. Yeah. And I talk about Ramsey around the house all the time, anyway.
And we call him all the time.
We call him all the time.
That's beautiful. Oh, beautiful. All right, cool. All right, we're gonna keep it going. Ramsey, I'm not gonna say Mr. Lewis, I'm gonna say Ramsey.
Please.
Of course, so Shelly, through Shelly, she keeps us informed about Earth, Wind, and Fire, which is lovely. It's a pleasure to have Verdine join us today. And we know that yes, sir, pleasure. And we know that you guys were honored at the White House. But Ramsey, can you tell us about the time that you had a chance to perform at the state dinner for President Bill Clinton?
Oh, that's right. I did that, didn't
I? We're trying to get it in. We got about 23 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, actually, you got about 15 because there's something else I got to do. But anyway,
not a problem.
You know what? Next time we're gonna have to open up 2 hours.
We can do a part. We can do a part 2.
It seems like y'all got more stuff on me than I remember that I did.
Well, that's the beauty of it. We like to say it's a celebration. We like to celebrate our guests.
And Ramsey goes to bed early, so he's
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Verdine, you remember that?
I remember that. When you call, you said, "Don't call past 5."
That's not like kid.
Yeah, that's me.
Well, President.
Oh, man.
President Clinton was a music fan, and he requested that we come to the White House, and it was a pleasure. It was a pleasure meeting him, and before we got our award, somebody took us on a tour of the White House. It was really nice.
Awesome. And I'm gonna skip around here, but speaking of presidents, former presidents, you also had the opportunity to get a special shout out from President Obama, who's also from Chicago as well.
That's right.
Yeah. How did it feel? How did it feel to receive such a high honor when you get addressed by the president? How does that feel?
Well, first of all, the aura, because you don't just walk up to the president. Before you get to walk up to the president, shake his hand, there's a lot of doors that have to be opened. A lot of people,
absolutely.
That's right.
Clearances.
So even though he was from Chicago, and even though that I knew him from Chicago, and even though we had been together many times in Chicago, when he got to be president, you don't just walk. So anyway, they invited me to come to the White House, and it was great to walk in the Oval Office.
Yes, sir.
And see the president standing there, and spend some time together. And he remains the great man that he always was.
Yes, sir.
Even as president, he was just at first and at once a regular guy, but at the same time, he was a great president. I mean,
I agree.
He could reach out and touch the average man, and he could touch kings and queens.
Right. And he was so down to earth. We went to the White House, right? And we went to reception. And what did he tell you? What they tell you, babe? And they told me the same thing.
He told you, you better be careful. Don't you step on your wife's train.
He said, Brother White, watch that train. And when we got to First Lady Michelle Obama, she said, watch that train. He always steps on my train. Down to earth,
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, we do have a video clip of President Obama giving you what we like to consider a celebrity shout out.
Celebrity shout out.
Hello, everybody. I wish I could be there with you at Ravinia to honor a man who's touched all our hearts. Ramsey, I know your birthday was a couple of months ago, but you're worth celebrating twice. Not everybody finds his calling in life as a 4-year-old sitting at the piano in the living room. But ever since you did, you filled our lives with music and with joy. And not just us, but all of Chicago. So Ramsey, thank you. Happy birthday. And here's to many more.
Boy.
Nice.
Awesome.
How did you all get that?
We have a great team. We want to definitely shout out Miss Taz Cole in the background and Miss Shelley, and they got their resources. Shout out Verdine too. We put all our resources together, man.
And our girl is legend.
normally I stay up late and she goes to bed early, but she does a lot of research. So when I hear her upstairs thumping, thump, 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 she's doing research, you know what I mean? And, and we were looking forward to today, though. I was very excited about hanging out with us today. I said, when's Ramsey's show? When, you know what I mean? Things like that. I would ask the question. So what time do we go on? What do we do? You know?
Yes, indeed.
And shout out to our Yuli, right? Shout out to our girl Yuli for finding some amazing clips and photos of she's the admin at Earth, Wind, and Fire Legacy page, and she helped quite a bit. Thank you, Yuli. Okay, Ken, you got it.
All right, right quick, Ramsey.
How we looking, Ramsey?
Well, we've got about 2 more minutes.
All right, here we go. Okay. You made an announcement a while ago that you were going to retire, but it looks like you really haven't, because you are performing every last Saturday of the month in your own show called The Saturday Salon. Can you tell the people about the show and how and when it started?
Yeah. I was sitting in my living room practicing the piano, and I was trying to figure out a song that I hadn't played in a long time, and I finally got the song. I played it all the way through. Little did I know that Jan, my wife, was recording it. She said, "That's a beautiful song." And I told her what it was, and she sent it to my manager, and he said, "Well, that's a beautiful song. So you recorded it right there in your living room?" And she said, "Yeah." I would say, "Yeah." He said, "Well, how would you like to do a series of shows that you record right there in your living room?"
Wow.
I said, "You don't have to go. I don't have to go to O'Hare. Beautiful. I don't have to go to Midway or whatever. You know,
no.
LAX. You know,
right.
So that's how that happened. And now, as you say, every Saturday, 1 o'clock Chicago time.
Right, and I think your next show is October 31st.
If that's it's the last Saturday of every month. If that's what it is.
Right.
Yeah.
1 o'clock Chicago time. I play for an hour, and each show is different. I try to play different songs in all each show, and not repeat myself.
Yeah,
so I have fun doing it. My wife, she's learned how to situate the mics. She's the producer. She's the producer. And
that's nice.
Engineer.
Yeah,
nobody but she and I sitting in the living room doing what we do.
That's beautiful.
The one beautiful thing about this is the money raised is to provide emergency health and housing for jazz musicians. I think that's a great thing.
I'm glad that you added that. Right. You're right. Most of the money is sent to the Jazz Association of America, and it's distributed amongst jazz musicians who need just a little help.
Wow. So we're going to tell people how they can find you. It's at stageit.com.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
/ Ramsey.
We got you, Ramsey.
Lewis.
I see.
Stageit.com.
Write that down, folks.
Thank you for the plug.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
It's been great talking with y'all.
It's been a pleasure.
Can we do it again?
We sure can.
Absolutely.
We have one more order of business. We just wanted to show a picture of your gorgeous family. And thank you, Jan Lewis. Thank you, Jan Lewis, for
Thank you.
Look at those. Look at that.
Nice.
That's all my kids, my grandkids.
How many great? You got great grandkids?
I got great grandkids. Oh my goodness gracious alive. Wow.
Yeah.
Nice. Thank you so much.
Yes.
And Ramsey,
it's good to see you, man.
Gonna call you on Sunday morning.
Huh?
Shelly and I, we're gonna call you on Sunday.
Okay.
As usual, right? I guess we probably will be doing any comments, or we just going to skip that part.
Ladies and gentlemen at home, we're gonna do the Ramsey schedule. We're gonna skip the Q&A portion of the program tonight, but we do invite him to come back for a part 2 sometime soon, and then hopefully we'll have time to take you guys questions and answers. But nonetheless, we thank him so much for his time today.
That's right.
And having a chat with us.
Thank you, Ramsey.
We appreciate it.
I look forward to coming back again. Now, don't forget me.
I got one more question, Ramsey.
Okay.
at church when you had to leave early, did you have to put that finger up?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You know all about it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So I guess this gonna be the time we put the excuse me finger up.
Hey,
Old school.
I want to be excused.
Yeah. So it's
Just a quick announcement. We got Russell Tompkins, legendary falsetto from the Stylistics, next week. There he is. All right.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
So bet you by golly wow.
Yeah.
And all those great songs.
Ramsey, if you must go, I think we can proceed. If you must go right at this moment.
Yeah, I do.
Okay, not a problem. Ladies and gentlemen at home, please drop some comments and show some love for Mr. Ramsey Lewis. Please, yes. Let me put we thank you so much.
Thank you, Rams.
Yes.
I've enjoyed it.
Make some noise for Mr. Verdine White.
Yeah.
Also joining us today.
There you go.
Sir. Yes, sir. All right. Ramsey, we understand. We can proceed from here, sir. Thank you so much once again.
All right. Thank you, Dan.
Yes. Thank you. All right. So what we got next? I'm sorry, folks. I lost my place here. Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to subscribe. If you're on our YouTube page, make sure you make sure you subscribe. We're trying to get our subscription numbers up. Go to the official chairman of the board page. And listen, it's so simple when you subscribe because each week the content comes right to your homepage, right, which is right on your phone or your mobile device, your computer, your iPad, whatever you use. It's so easy. Sometimes people are like, I was trying to find y'all, I couldn't find it. Just subscribe to the page and it does the work for you. You know, so YouTube official chairman of the board. If you're over on Facebook, that would be the chairman of the board page. We just started also a That's My Story Facebook page as well, ladies and gentlemen. That's going to be circulating. Shout out to the new members on the team helping us out, further our reach and everything like that. We got to say thank you one more time to Mr. Ramsey Lewis, and we got to say thank you one more time to Mr. Verdine White for joining us on tonight's episode. Ladies and gentlemen,
he is the best pandemic partner under the sun.
Hey, listen, I just want to say the love that you guys exhibit for each other is wonderful. It's wonderful. And Shelly talks about you all the time, and I can see when we get a chance to talk to you how you speak to her and handle her. It's beautiful, man. Beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
One of the best
partners you ever have.
I'm sorry.
She's the best partner you can ever have. And I begged her to get on the show today. So thank you, babe.
All right. Hey, listen, V, your family, your family, you can hop on anytime. Can we say happy birthday to OG?
Yay!
Yeah. And my birthday is tomorrow. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you need my cash app, just send me a personal message. I'll give you my cash app information if you need it. Any closing word? Once again, let's shout out Taz. Producer behind the scenes, and her and Shelly coming together to do this research, man. And you know, Ken and I, we throw our little sauce in here and there, but the bulk of the credit for the research I got to put my at Shelly and at Taz. We really appreciate the work they put in to make sure we have an interesting show every week and that we can celebrate our guests every week.
Great work.
Yes, indeed. Yes,
one more shout out to Yuli because she really comes with the fire. She comes with it. Thank you.
Yes, indeed. We appreciate all of you all at home. Again on Facebook and YouTube for joining us. If all hearts and minds are content, peace and love out there, everyone in Facebook and YouTube land. We're going to sign off. We'll see you all next week for episode 25. Yes, God bless you all. Good night.
All right.
Good night.